A big announcement from San Diego Unified. Yesterday, San Diego's largest school district says students and staff will have to wear masks indoors as well as outdoors.
San Diego Unified School District Board President Richard Barrera joins us now to talk more about this new rule. Good morning to you, Richard.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, good. Look, I know there are some moments where the students are going to be able to take their masks off, like PE, different mask breaks. But this is taking things a step further than even what the Department of Public Health guidelines are saying, that masks are optional for students outdoors. So what data is the district looking at? What are you guys seeing that may be taking this beyond the state guidelines?
Well, it's actually the State Department of Public Health this last week has clarified their guidelines to say that if a student at school comes into contact with somebody who has tested positive, but that student who has come into contact has been wearing a mask, then that student can actually stay at school rather than being sent home to quarantine. So, we've seen the school districts that have already opened either here in San Diego County or around the state, where you've got a lot of kids who themselves have not tested positive for COVID, but they've been in close contact, having to be sent home. So it's not only the safest, policy for everybody to be wearing their masks almost all of the time, and you went through some of the exceptions outside. It's not only the safest policy, but it's the best policy to allow students to stay at school rather than be forced to go back and be quarantined at home.
So if somebody, let me go off of that again more. I want more information on this. So if, let's say, somebody in the classroom tests positive for COVID and they've all been wearing masks, then that other children don't have to quarantine? You're not going to shut down the class and the school?
That's exactly what we're trying. Exactly. So the what we will do, of course, is if there's been a contact, we will test all of the students.
Okay.
But let's say a student who's been in contact with somebody who tests positive, we test them. They are negative, so they're not carrying the virus, and they've been wearing a mask. When they've been in close contact with the person who's tested positive, then rather than needing to be sent home to quarantine for 10 days, 14 days, we can keep them in school.
Okay,
that's
which is a big burden on the entire family.
That's the goal of all this.
Yeah. So Richard,
that's absolutely correct. That is the goal of all of this. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. The Let Them Breathe parent group has been vocal. In fact, they've filed a lawsuit against the state saying masking at schools is affecting their children, their mental and physical health, leaving them anxious and depressed. Are you concerned about the long-term impacts of kids wearing masks sometimes 6-7 hours a day?
Not at all. There is just no research to back up some of those claims. And in fact, what we know is masking is one of the most important strategies to prevent the spread of the virus. The parents that we hear from, what they want to know is, are my students going to be safe when they go back to school on Monday? And there are a variety of strategies that we know are effective and that have proven effective, since the spring. Of course, increasing air quality in our classrooms. So we've installed the highest level air filters, regular cleaning, but masking is one of those key strategies that prevents the virus from spreading. And of course, vaccinations. And so we are, again, as the school year begins, we're going to open up our high schools as vaccination clinics. Students who are 12 years old and older are eligible to be vaccinated, and we highly encourage parents to get their students vaccinated. And for everybody in the community, if you have not had the opportunity to get vaccinated yet, it is the number one thing that you can do to prevent the further spread of the virus, which allows us to keep our students both safe in school and to keep our schools open.
This decision getting a lot of support from some parents, but also some criticism from people like Supervisor Jim Desmond. He weighed in on this decision, telling News 8 that, quote, kids are the least vulnerable population, yet struggling because of these ridiculous rules, in his words. We need to learn to live with this virus and let the kids be kids. Do you have any reaction to Supervisor Desmond?
I think, he would do well to actually, listen to some parents, because believe me, there is not a parent that I have talked to that is saying, let's just live with this virus and deal with the consequences. I mean, that is just such not only silly but dangerous, way of thinking about this. The consequences of students being exposed to COVID and actually contracting COVID, those can be very serious. And talk to people in Children's Hospital, talk to doctors who have to deal with this. That kind of spreading of misinformation. Look, it's I understand that people, politicians, want to appeal to political bases, but this is about public health. And we listen directly to the people who know what they're talking about. Some of the world's leading experts in epidemiology and public health and virology from UCSD, they guide us in making sure that we're putting into place the strategies that are most likely to prevent the transmission of the virus on campus. And our intention is to keep our students safe, and that's what we will continue to focus on.
Richard, let's switch gears and talk about the school year. Monday, first day. What is the district most excited about this year, and what are you hearing from teachers, students, parents about this year?
Oh, yeah. In addition, look, and we can't overlook the fact that people are anxious because we are, seeing this surge in the Delta variant. But the excitement is absolutely there. And the, a lot of students who are going to be coming to school on Monday, this will be actually the first time that they've, it could be with our younger students, the first time they've ever been to school in person. For a lot of our students, let's say students who are entering middle school or high school, this will be the first time that they're on their new campus. We know that it was a really tough year for students and parents, with students being stuck at home. And so the opportunity to get out, to be there, be around, friends, other students, be directly with your teachers. People are very, very excited about this. We ended the school year in the spring with about 45% of our students who would get to return to campus. Now we're anticipating well over 90% of our students will be on campus. So we're back to full day, every day, almost full classroom. And I think students and parents are very excited about this new school year, as our.
We got to run here, Richard, but real quick, just when it comes to COVID funding, how much money did the district get for the safety protections? I'm sure it's going to look a lot different. And what has that money been spent on? Are those things that the students are going to see, the teachers are going to see in class when they return?
Yeah, exactly. So the money that we've received so far, from COVID relief has we've purchased PPE, which includes masks. We've spent, money on improving the air quality in all of our classrooms, so much higher quality air filters in our air conditioning systems, purchasing standalone air filters, carbon monitors, and also, cleaning equipment. So all of the things that we've put into place, and of course, testing, we're going to be doing. We have been doing testing every 2 weeks. We're going to move that to testing every week. So all of that is putting into place, again, this layer of strategies that the folks, that we've taken guidance from at UCSD and from other, sources, that is the guidance that is, if we put these measures in place on top of each other, air quality, masking, testing, cleaning, vaccines, those are the strategies that, are most likely to keep people safe when they come to school.
Richard, thank you so much for joining us. We got a wrap. So how many students are going back? Is it 120,000?
Yeah, so in our district, in district-run schools, we have over 100,000. There's about another 20,000 students in charter schools in our district, and we're anticipating well over 90% of them to be back. And we do have a virtual academy, an online option that's available to parents who aren't yet comfortable having their students come back in person.
Got it. Always appreciate your time, Richard. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Have a great first day back to school here on Monday.